What's up, guys? We are trying something a little bit different today. Um, I'm live. We got this new love seat, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go live from my love seat. So I'm actually got a little bit of a different setup today. I'm going to go on here to my profile and see if this is showing up. All right, like it's supposed to. Okay, cool. All right, and now what I want to talk about is, and I'm going to get this ready on Instagram. Um, Run Disney and um, a recent experience I had in Disney World with Run Disney. So I'm excited to talk about that today. So here we go. A dad's perspective on Run Disney. So here we go. We're about to get this going. All right, that is ready to roll on Instagram. All right, let's scoot it a little bit closer. All right, so what's up, Instagram? A little bit of a different setting today. We're talking about, I just got back from Florida. We were in Disney World, and I want to talk about Run Disney events because I did something. Hey, Brett, how's it going? I did something Friday I thought I would never do, and that is I woke up at 2:30 in the morning to go do a 5K. I ran track in high school, but I did sprints. I like to go fast, and my goal was to do the 100-meter dash in under 11 seconds. If I got 10.9, 10.8, 10.7, once I got there, I was pumped. And I did the 200-meter dash. And if I did the 200-meter dash in under 25 seconds in high school, I was happy. If I got 24 point something, that was great for me. And that was just my preference. I like sprints, but I do 5Ks with my daughters for fun sometimes, and she likes to run. But I never thought I would wake up at 2:30 in the morning to go on a run. But here I am. I did it, and so I wanted just to give some thoughts on that, some honest thoughts. Now that I'm home, and we had a good trip, great weather. Heard it was snowing back home when we were down there. So glad I missed that. But yeah, so if you've never done a Run Disney race, I was first of all blown away when my wife told me how many people were there that weekend to run. We're talking, 50,000 people. And oops, there we go. 50,000 people there to run. And I couldn't believe it. Okay, just making sure this was working. Cool. So yeah, 50,000 people were there to run. And I was like, wow. I was expecting maybe even 1,000, 2,000, but I could not believe there was 50,000 people there for this race, race weekend. So I was blown away by just the amount of people gathering at Epcot at just after 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, okay, we got to the bus stop by 3:15. We got to be one of the first three. And there's already 20 people there. I was like, wow. And everybody's got their emergency blankets on. What do you call it? I'd never heard the actual name of this stuff. I just always referred to it as emergency blanket. Apparently, I don't remember what it's called, but it's somebody may know in the comments. But everybody's got their emergency blankets. We had a $3 Walmart blanket on, wrapped around us, and we're staying. I'm freezing to death, and so we get in the parking lot, and we're I think in what do you call it, in section D, which is the last one, A, B, C, D, and we sit around and wait, and it went fast because it was a fun environment, and it was me, my wife, and my 7-year-old daughter. You have to be 5 to do these races, so my 4-year-old was at the hotel, not by herself, with my mother-in-law, and so yeah, we're calling that. Okay, we had to pause this. There we go. And so we're on our way to the um, the starting line. Finally, they got the DJs, they got the music, they got the MCs, and it's really fun. And they're talking, interviewing people. And I want to say, first of all, one of the things that really stuck with me was how many individuals are there and that had chemo like that week, or it had a procedure, surgery done within the past month. And so one positive was how many people were really there despite what's happened to them. And that was really cool to see. So yeah, it's not just I'm going to do a 5K. I'm going to go do a 5K and wake up at 2:30 in the morning at Disney World to do it. And so I'm like, props to those people. But we go through and they're asking like, it's okay to be a little nervous before your race and all this. I'm like, oh yeah, man, there's going to be some people like, busting through this race, really competing. And then you start hearing talks about, there's some people that spent more time on their costume than training. And that's to be expected to some extent. And I honestly didn't realize until we got there that this 5K wasn't timed. I was like, oh, that's a bummer. Like I always like knowing my time. Even if I'm not going to try to like win the race, which I'm not, it's cool to know like about what your time is and how you ranked compared to your previous race and all that. So as we begin the race, there's a lot of people walking. And the first mile is like this road outside of Epcot leading up to Epcot. And then once we get into Epcot, it's cool. It's still dark. There's the torches going. The course was around like the little lake in Epcot. And the Epcot ball is all lit up. Cool scene. We stop and take a picture real quick, but then it's like, let's get back on it. But then I realized most of the people there were there to take pictures, and like they had characters out, and there's like a long line. I'm like, now what if you did care about your time? And so here we have, it wasn't like, obviously like my 7-year-old daughter, yeah, she wants to have her picture made with the character, but I was kind of blown away with the amount of adults that are like, got to have my picture made with, oh, there's Woody from Toy Story. Got to have my picture made with Woody. Or there's Goofy. I got to have my picture made with Goofy. It's like, I get it, but like, during a race. And so the competitive, being a dad and the competitive side of that's, while I see some positives about the Disney race, that's one side. I'm like, Disney, we could improve on this. Doing the whole like character pictures during the race, the characters should be at the end of the race. It's like the reward for the individuals that want their picture made with the character. Finish the race. The faster you finish it, the quicker you can get in line to have your picture made with the characters. That would have made more sense to me, instead of like your time being for a 5K an hour and 30 minutes because you stopped in 3 places to have your picture made with the character. Like, why do a 5K at that point? That's my biggest knock. While I mentioned the positive, the people there, despite the odds, that were doing things that most people wouldn't have done. It's just, I wish the event was more about the race and less about the characters. It's fun because you're racing through Disney, yeah, and all that stuff, but we don't need to take pictures during the race, in my opinion, Disney. So move the characters to the finish line. That's my first thing I want to say. Second thing I want to say is I've learned that there is a term called a Disney adult. And here I am wearing my Mickey Mouse hat. My daughter liked it. And, when we went last year and I got it. And look, do I agree with everything Disney? No. But I also don't agree with cancel culture. And I see a lot of hypocritical people that like fuss when an individual gets silenced, but they're also boycotting this company and that company. And I'm like, don't complain about your guy getting canceled when you're trying to cancel all these other people. Let's just stop the cancel stuff. Like if someone has a good product, it's you don't have to, you don't have to like and agree with them. And that's my take. So like, yeah, if my family likes Disney, we're gonna go to Disney. And it's that I'm not gonna cancel anybody. But the thing I noticed was yeah, the term Disney adult really was funny to me because there's different levels of Disney adults. And for me, I always felt like Disney was something for kids. You know, it's like, oh, you want your picture made with the character? Yeah, that's for kids. But I've learned that the Disney adults want their picture made with the characters. And I'm fine with that. But like I said, there's different levels of it. So another thing I learned about in the race was a lot of individuals that do the Disney races, like while a lot of them are there, then like despite circumstances and diseases and procedures and surgeries and cancers, and they're doing the event. And that's one thing I love about it is it gives someone something to train for. And I'm all about something, getting somebody healthy and active. And it's always so much more fun having something to train for. But the two knocks I had was, like I already said, one, the characters during the race, like it makes no sense to me to sign up to do a race if you're going to stop at 3 points and wait in line 20 or 30 minutes to have your picture made with the character. So that's the first fix I would say to Disney. And the second thing that really blew me away was what I would say level 2 or 3 Disney adults. Because like at the expo the night before when we were getting our bibs and our bag and everything, they had some characters. Olaf and Sebastian from The Little Mermaid were out when we got there. And the Olaf line I noticed was going pretty quick. I know Sebastian's was going slow. I'm like, well, is it that Sebastian's that much more popular right now? And I got to watching Olaf, which is kind of like barely interacting and just taking a picture, and that was it. People were having full-blown conversations with Sebastian. And Sebastian was talking back and dancing and everything. And I was just like, hold up. My daughters are here with me. We've been waiting in line for 15 minutes already. It looks like we got another 20 because there are grown men and grown women talking to these characters in this like cosplay. They start off, oh, okay, Sebastian, where's Ariel? And it's like they're having this whole made up conversation and the characters are replying back. I'm like, do you not realize that is just a college student you're talking to in a costume? And I taught fourth grade once. My students introduced me to what a furry is. I'm like, you are, basically having a conversation like, you're having a conversation with furry about this imaginary, where's this character? What's this character doing? While my kids would like to actually have their picture made and just move on, and the other children in line. And so that's another thing I just noticed. And I didn't do a script or anything for this. I just was just talking some thoughts I had. I think Disney needs to really do something about the adults talking to the characters. It's a little disturbing to me, to be honest. And while kids wait on or are waiting to have their picture made with them. And I'm all about, like, if you want your picture made with the characters, go for it. Like I said, there's different levels of Disney adults. I'm cool with level 1 Disney adult, but the level 2, level 3 Disney adult, especially level 3, freaks me out a little bit. You're getting a little furry mode on me. But overall, I think, the Disney races, and this was the 5K. The 10K, the half marathon may be more competitive, more intense, but I feel like if they would move the characters to the end of the race and they would do something about the level 3 Disney adults in furry mode, it would be a much more The adult Disney love is frightening. Yes, David, it is. I just noticed you're on here. Yeah, it's it's something else, and it's I don't know. I think I knew about it, but it just I experienced it really for the first time on this trip in person when I saw a grown man with Sebastian for 7 minutes while my girls stood there in line just watching, like, you know. So I would say if you're into running, though, like a Disney, and you're into Disney, or you have kids over the age of 5, I was surprised by how many kids were there. My daughter did it; she loved it. It's magical for them to run through a Disney park and get to experience that. But from my perspective, if you're going to do something, do it. If you're going to do a 5K, do the 5K. Like, you're there for the 5K first and foremost. And doing the 5K in Disney is a great experience, but you should still try to do your best. And if you're stopping and having your picture made with characters and all this stuff, you're not doing your best. And that was the one part that bothered me and bothered the competitive side of me. But like I said, I'm all about people having something to train for. Because, you know, I see a lot of people just go to the gym day in and day out, and it's just that's it. You know, I'm like, well, I've got a beach trip coming up. I'd like to lose weight for, and that's it. And most of those people, sadly, never really lose that weight for the beach trip. But having something to train for, even if it's a 5K, it doesn't have to be a Disney 5K. I highly, highly recommend having something in the back of your head and creating this little game to train for it. It does a lot of good. One more thing, and like I said, today was just kind of, I'm trying something new with the streaming thing on my phone while I'm live here on my iPad on Instagram. Another thing I noticed that's really interesting, we stayed at a Disney resort, Art of Animation. Highly recommend it. We stayed at Port Orleans last year. Very nice. Highly recommend it. But one thing interesting about Disney, there's no gyms. They have some family like exercise things. And maybe that's because they're trying to encourage, like, you know, family activities and like one parent not leaving and going to a gym or something. And that's cool, but like I do find it interesting there's no gyms. But this is something for a podcast and an episode we'll have in the spring. But if you've ever wondered how to approach training on vacation or training when out of town, I've got a unique perspective on this and a unique reason why I think a lot of people are so anxious and ready to find a gym on vacation and make sure they have a gym. Because I want to tell you, like, I think it's interesting that the Disney resorts don't have a gym. It didn't bother me. And I was actually cool with taking 3 day. Well, no, that was 5 days total off of training. So yeah, that's a future episode. But overall, I just wanted to go live. I've been out of town a few days, and I wanted to talk about my experience, talk about my honest perspective on the Run Disney races. Like, you know, and this was just a 5K. They called it a fun run. It wasn't timed, but I believe if you're going to do something, do it. Like, go all in to the best of your ability. If you're doing a 5K, do the 5K. And that's one thing that bothered me, is seeing everybody stop and take their pictures with characters and all this stuff. Like, run through the park, enjoy that experience, and then just take your pictures with the characters at the end of the race. But overall, I was impressed by how many people were there despite certain circumstances, and I applaud them for having something to train for and going after it, because that's the key for all of us. But I appreciate everybody that tuned in, and we're going to be changing up 413 Barbell Club Radio over the next month. I'm going to be changing up the setting, the look. I'm going to start having some people that I train people that are in the club on, not just as a guest, but just to help me co-host, just to have, different people that I think are a good, that I train, that I think are a good fit to help me co-host. We'll have a few regulars on here, and I'm excited to get that going. All right, I hope you all have a great day. We're going to do a quick upper body workout, and then go get in the parent pickup line. Y'all have a good one.